Hello, friends. It's not Jim Nance. It's Matt Hatfield and the coach, Ed Young.
Me, Hatfield.
But you're always our friends. And we are back here for sports talk, high school sports talk, pro sports talk, college sports talk plus. It's Sports Talk Plus. You hear us each and every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon on ESPN Radio 94.1, Ed Young's favorite radio station in all of America. He listens to it even when he's awake, when he's asleep, driving.
Even when it's not on, I listen to it.
He listens to it. He keeps it on. And so should you. And listen to it on ESPNRadio941.com and VirginiaPreps.com, where high school sports talk is presented to you each and every Saturday. We're going to mix in some, it's going to be a little potpourri, some high school basketball talk. Signing day is right around the corner. It's coming Wednesday, in fact. I believe it is for football. But we're going to talk about the big game, which is the Super Bowl tomorrow as we film this on Saturday. Super Bowl? We just did. You just did.
Okay.
52. The big game. And where do you want to begin, sir? As I'm wearing a Los Angeles Lakers hat that I found in my closet today because I have a bad hair day. So,
well, we haven't been on in a while. This is the first one of the year, 2018. So.
I am not a Lakers fan. I was a Karl Malone fan and became a Lakers fan, but I'm no longer a Lakers
because
fan.
Malone played, a year for him, 2 years?
He did, and he should have got a ring, but the Pistons stole it away.
Let's talk, before we do Super Bowl, which is the big thing,
okay.
Let's go some high school basketball. Let's talk about maybe who each of the divisions. Top couple teams.
We can do that. There are 3 undefeated teams for Virginia High School boys basketball in the state of Virginia. Can you, Ed Young, name them?
I know one in the area. I'm going to say Western Branch.
Good job. Can you name the other 2?
I'm going to say Radford somewhere I heard. Not
did.
Radford University.
See, he does sometimes pay attention to the radio show and what I say.
And Northside.
He does pay attention. Very good.
3 for 3, ding, 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 ring it up, I get a prize.
No, you don't, because we said it just like an hour and a half ago on the radio show.
I had to remember that much, so.
Well, that's good you remembered. You remembered that, but you don't remember what you had for breakfast, so.
I didn't eat this morning.
Now, here's the question. Each of those 3 teams ranked number 1 in the state right now, and VirginiaPreps.com, or no? He's really thinking on this one.
I'm going to say 2 of the 3 are.
Boy, he does pay attention. Which 2 are? That's a good job by you.
I'm going to say Western Branch.
Correct.
Northside.
Correct. And you're saying Radford's not.
And Radford's not.
And that's correct. Where's Radford ranked?
Right, Radford's ranked 2nd.
Who's number 1 in Class 2? Remember, Radford moved up from 1A to 2A.
Ooh.
See if you can get this.
2A is, I'm going to make my first mistake.
All right.
Can you give me a multiple choice? Give me 3 teams.
Sure, I'll give you a multiple choice. Is it
3.
A, the Graham G-Men? Is it B, Gate City? Or is it C, Dan River?
Ooh, that'll help me.
Good multiple choice. What to help you? You got a 1 in 3
I need a lifeline. I got to call a lifeline.
Phone a friend. Call Jimmy. Jimmy will help you.
No, don't call Jimmy. He'll never leave. Let's go with Dan River.
Dino, you're going to call Dino. All right,
River.
to go with my Regis Philbin. Is that your final answer?
Yes. But then again...
Coach Young, you're incorrect. You lose all your money.
But I like Graham, too, though.
You can like all 3 of them, but the correct answer was Gate City.
Gate City.
With Mac McClung, the Georgetown pledge, and Zach Irvin, the junior Division I prospect.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. You're undefeated and you're not even...
Through January, which our records have up on VirginiaPreps.com, they're 17-1. Radford's 19-0. Gate City lost a game in the Arby's Classic in Tennessee, which Lansdowne also participated in. And speaking of high school basketball, we start with 6 there just to begin. Lansdowne gets Michael Christmas back, which is a big deal. And, some people have actually tried to say to me, I want to get your take on this. I had someone tell me that they wanted that this is the same thing as Brequan Harrell. And I don't see that comparison whatsoever. Because he didn't have his season end. He came from out of state to a school he was at.
Already at.
The only issue I have no issue with Harold going to Oscar Smith or playing. I have no problem with it. He's a terrific player, and I'm he's doing good at Oscar Smith, and he'll do good at football as well. My only issue with the whole Harold thing was that he did it when his team was eliminated and joined a team.
Right.
So I don't see how that comparison can be made.
No, it's not the same comparison.
No, it's not.
It's just not.
Sorry.
If you don't like, some people don't like the fact, well, here's a kid that left your program to go to bigger and better, quote, bigger and better things. I'm going to go private school. I'm going to reclassify, and it kind of didn't work out, and now, okay, I'm going to come running back. You all got to accept me. Some people have a heartache with that, and to be honest, I could too, but he's not breaking any rules.
I'm not even getting into the whole private-public thing, which that's going on everywhere, and that's an issue in itself. It's when, and I don't care, if Michael Christmas was at a public, a private, or an out-of-state school, and their season was over and he
Then it's
joined them, then I'd have a problem with it.
Then it would be the same thing as Harold.
Right, it would be the same thing. It's not the same thing as Harold.
Yeah, it's not the same.
And they've now since changed that rule, by the way, for the Virginia high school moving forward, which we knew was going to happen. It doesn't help Colonial Forge or Westfield. Westfield beat them, Colonial Forge didn't, but it is what it is. So
Exactly.
I think with Michael Christmas, though, what I was getting at was if anybody's taken down Western Branch on the local level in Class 6, and there's a lot of contenders, Kellum, Cox, Grassfield, Woodside, Tallwood, you name them. I think Lansdowne's the best equipped to do it because of him, and they did it last year. Now, will they beat Western Branch? Time will tell. And where will they be seated? Time will tell. Big game coming up on Tuesday with Kellum at Kellum, who's playing really well. But that's the one team, if someone in that bracket's going to beat Western Branch, and nobody may, if somebody's going to do it, Lansdowne's the best team.
I agree, because Christmas is that good. It's what, State Player of the Year?
Now, Western Branch will say, we have two guys to shadow Christmas with DJ Driscoll and with Saquon White, and your former assistant and JV coach Paul Hall, who's doing a great job over there at Western Branch. They had everybody score last night in their win over Hickory, and they are very balanced. They've come from double digits down 5 or 6 times.
Yes,
it's reminiscent of your old Nance Whenever teams, which he was a part of. But as you know, I think that junior year of Nick Wright and Andre Jones when you all went to states, sometimes you do that and it can get you burned. You did that against Highland Springs in the state quarters, came back, took the lead, but then you ran out of gas. Will that happen to Western Branch? Will that eventually burn them? And would it be good to get burned regular season so it teaches them a lesson before the playoffs?
Oh, yes. You definitely want to, like I said, you want to lose a game.
You want to lose a game. He just said it. He just said it.
If you're undefeated, it's a lot of pressure.
Wow.
I sometimes would rather lose a game, bring everybody back to reality. One loss should not hurt you. Hopefully it's against a pretty good team.
Okay.
And you pick everybody back up. Get that monkey off your back. We play to try to, you practice and prepare to win every game. But normally you're not going to win every game. But when you are, it's like, well, I don't want to win every game. Wait a minute. You prepare to win every game. Why you don't want to win every game? Because it does build pressure, especially on the high school ranks. And get that, you don't want to lose come playoff time because, once you get in that second, third round of playoffs, you lose, you're done. So you don't want to get in that situation.
Well, mentioning of losses, as you have your dog barking because you didn't take him out or feed him this morning, bad job by you. My question to you is, you said about losing a game. Lake Taylor lost its first game to drop. There was 4 undefeated teams. They lost last night to Maury. And Daryl is saying MHS is number 1, and he's the number 1 fan, so Maury's number 1, and they may be number 1 soon in the Class 5 rankings. Point being, though, Lake Taylor is no longer undefeated. Will that loss help them? Will it hurt them? Will it have no effect? What do you see coming from that loss? As everybody seems to be talking about, as we talked about last week, that collision course, a la Henrico LC Bird in Class 5 a few years ago, which happened in the regional semis, not the state finals, we're anticipating and craving sort of a Loudoun Valley Lake Taylor state final matchup, knowing that would be the dream matchup. Defending champ George Mason signee and Jordan Miller, who had 33 points, 13 rebounds in their overtime win over Phoebus in the Virginia Preps Classic, against Lake Taylor's three-headed monster of Darion Sebron, who would probably check Miller, Joe Bryant, the Norfolk State signee, and Jalen Jordan, who had a record 38 points in the Preps Classic a couple weeks ago against LC Bird up at Henrico. What's kind of your shakeup of Class 4? Are we not paying attention to some other teams, like the Graftons, the Lafayettes, the Louisas, the Carolines? Are we not paying enough attention to them?
Yeah, I don't think we're giving them enough with so-called love. There's some teams there that can really surprise you, and even though they're really good teams, that can do something. Lake Taylor's loss to Maury is not going to hurt them. Unless the kids, all of a sudden start, oh, man, we can lose, we're going to start down.
You don't see the free throw issue that they had last night?
You got to make free throws.
4 of 13 or something of that nature?
5 of 14.
5 of 14?
You got to make free throws. You got to get glass.
Hurt them against Monacan 2 years ago.
And you got to protect basketball. If you do those things, you do move on to the playoffs. You prepare all year for this kind of stuff. A loss is, you want to be insightful in a loss. Okay, here's what we did wrong. Maybe it could be a situation where, and Lake Taylor did do a few things wrong, where the other team was just that good. And you didn't really do anything wrong. They were just a little bit better. But Lake Taylor didn't shoot well from the free throw line. They had a couple more turnovers, and they got out-rebounded pretty bad. So Coach Brown will take care of those situations, make sure those kids, okay, now I got your full attention. You can lose, but just like the previous 16 wins, you can beat people too. So that it bounced itself off. I'd rather be 16-1 than 1-16, trust me.
Sure.
So I really don't think it'll hurt them at all. I really don't. It's just, let's regroup. And now I got your full attention again, because sometimes kids get a little big-headed when they're winning all the time, and you're trying to get on them as a coach. They can look at you like, Coach, we've never lost. So you calm down. We got this. No, you don't always have this.
So your instant takeaway from Class 4, as we jumped around from 6 to 4, we'll go back to 5 here in a second. Are we on the collision course? You still think of Loudoun Valley, Lake Taylor? A. B. Who's the best team? And C. Give me a dark horse of a Hanley, a Grafton, a Lafayette, an EC Glass, a Caroline, a Monacan, a Heritage, a Newport News. Who's your team that could upset this whole apple cart?
I'm going to say EC Glass.
You like EC Glass?
EC Glass
okay.
could be your upsetter.
Played a good schedule.
I think Lake Taylor and Loudoun Valley are on a collision course.
Okay.
Loudoun Valley is very, very good. But I'm telling you, Lake Taylor is physically tough to play against. And they're gonna make you do things you're uncomfortable doing. Like losing the ball, losing rebounds, losing a drive, a double team here and there. They've got 3 legitimate scorers. You're not going to concentrate on one person. Sometimes you concentrate on one and say, well, let everybody else beat us. They will. They'll beat you. You concentrate on one, they will beat you with their other people. So I like them. I'm a little bit more familiar with them than Loudoun Valley. I go a lot by what you say because you know Loudoun Valley a little bit way more than I do, but I like Lake Taylor's chances.
Well, I was really impressed with how Loudoun Valley came down here to play a good Phoebus team and beat them, and Miller was fantastic. I would worry a little bit about Loudoun Valley's depth, and I would worry a little bit about how they kind of got a little bit skittish execution-wise down the stretch, which if you do against Lake Taylor, you'll get beat, or if you do it before Lake Taylor, you'll get beat. So as high as I am on Loudoun Valley, and people know I'm very high on them, I think the world of their program and what Chad Dawson's done, and they got a 3-headed monster themselves with Jordan Miller and Dominic Peterson and Jalen Williams, who hit 10 threes the night before the event, didn't hit any against Phoebus, and Peterson's a good shooter as well. There are some things matchup-wise that may not work for them against Lake Taylor. And I think that game, should we get, it's going to be all about tempo. If it's a half-court game, that favors Loudoun Valley. If it's a full-court game, that favors Lake Taylor. But free throws could also be a factor in that matchup as well. Somebody posted on our message board, I think it's our good buddy Danville Sports Head. I'm trying to find it as we do this live video show, which is not really live, it's taped. But we're doing it right here live.
But it's live for us because we're both alive.
We're both alive.
It's hard to do this show when you're dead.
Yeah, that would be a new one, wouldn't it? So, anyways,
it would be.
I'm trying to get their record, but Verona just beat Highland Springs last night for the 3rd time this year by double digits.
I think they're 13-4.
And it's kind of a 4. No, they're not 13-4. They're like 17-2. So you're way off. Nice try.
Way off.
So, anyhow,
But there's a 13-4 team out there.
There is.
I told you I was right.
Yeah, but it's not Verona.
You listen to this show Saturday mornings,
We'll get
ESPN
you
Radio,
straight.
High School Sports Talk. We'll give you all the 411.
Anyway, we've kind of had a revolving door at number 1 for Class 5. Maury beats Lake Taylor last night. They lost to Blue Ridge last week in our event. Their other loss came to Lake Taylor in December, in a game which they actually out-rebounded Lake Taylor, but Lake Taylor did a good job of getting points in transition. And the other thing, the other team that we had at number 1 was LC Bird, the defending champ who began there. And then just this week we put Albemarle there. And I didn't even mention Louisa, who beat Albemarle after their 18-0 start. Beat them on a 3 with 1 second, 2 seconds left by Chris Shelton, the son of head coach Robert Shelton. And Albemarle, as you have a ton of respect for Greg Maynard, the coach there, you know him pretty well. He lost that twin tower combo of Austin Katstra,
That was a squad.
who walked on at UVA, and then Hampton Sydney's Jake Hahn. But they returned a lot of the role pieces from that team, and they're playing a little differently, and they looked good to me. And they still are worthy of a number 1 spot, despite not having maybe the night in, night out schedule of a Maury or a Verina or an LC Bird. And then there's Verina, who I think Danville Sports Head believes they're the best team in the state, any division public school, and they're very good. And their 2 losses came, one to an out-of-state opponent, and the other one to Trinity Episcopal, who is a dynamite private school
Very
team.
good team, yes.
So Verina beats Highland Springs 63-41, as I've now found it. They're now 17-2. 3-point loss to the number 1 private school in the state, and the other loss was to an out-of-state team. Is Verina the team? Is 5 wide open? Is Verina the team? B, as I give you 3-part questions. And C, who's lurking in the background beyond those 4 teams? Who's lurking? You could give me a Freedom South Riding, a Potomac Falls, a Green Run, a Hampton, and an Indian River, a Norview, a Potomac, a Wakefield, a Stonebridge. Who's lurking that could thrust themselves into that conversation? Is it a 4-team race?
4-team race, but watch out Potomac.
Even with the youth and the injuries.
Yeah.
Just haven't been there before.
They've been there, and you're going against a guy who knows how to strategize.
Keith Honore.
Hampton has athletes. Green Run has athletes. Both coaches know what they're doing. I tell you what, the more you open that book, there's some teams in that background that can really throw a monkey wrench.
So you're not convinced it's a 4-team race at the moment?
I want to say yeah, but the more I think about those teams,
Say no.
I have to say
Is Verona the team to beat now? Who is the team to beat in your eyes? of those four, having not seen them all, but just off your inkling and your research and your communication with coaches, which I know you do on a regular basis?
Verona, yes.
You'd go yes, even though Bird has kind of had their number here in the past.
Yeah, I mean, and see, Bird has that pedigree, too, of being through there. Again, a guy who knows how to make moves.
Troy Mans.
Yeah, Mans knows what he's doing.
It's a different team, though. They were guard-driven last year. Now they're big man-driven, and they lost to George Wythe last Monday. They lost to Lake Taylor in our Virginia Preps Classic. It's a different kind of team.
And high school teams are they're guard driven because we don't usually give.
Do they have they don't have the guard experience you would think
because
this year?
the guards have to get it to the bigger guys.
Well, if it's a guard game, then Maury would be your pick because Verona's guards are good, but they're freshmen. Two of them are, at least, in Williams and Nelson. In Maury's case, you've got Coleman, that's Chase, the little brother of Matt, who's no longer just a little brother. He's a good player. Had a season high last night
He
against
has
Taylor.
his own name now.
Brian Phillips, Jason Price, and they have wings that are active in Matthew Menzie and Lamont Edmonds who will crash the glass. If it's a guard game, then Maury has got the most weaponry to get there.
Athletic, and they play with a carefree attitude. They know how good they are and can be. They're not afraid of anybody. I liked Maury back in August. Of course, when we knew Jack Baker was stepping down, and of course when Brandon Plummer got the team, who was assistant coach there, that they won't miss a beat. They would not miss a beat, and I don't think they have. 2 losses, and again, 2 very good teams. They avenged the 1 loss to Lake Taylor. I like them too. There's so many teams out there. I want to put my hands on all of them. Say I like this, but Verona's tough. Bird has that pedigree. I like Maury. I always cheat towards the local teams. It's just I want to see local teams do well. So I'll rechange it and go Maury.
You know what they say?
I know they say a lot of things.
They say that Jack Baker's no Laker, but Ed Young is a money taker. As we move on
I will take money because I need money. That's
Class 3, Northside's number 1. Phoebus is number 2 with that close loss to Loudoun Valley last week. They do have Antoine Miles, special guard, but Kyrie Temple's out. Quietly, big body, Daquan Leach had a Virginia Preps Classic record, 19 rebounds, and it lost to Phoebus. I'm sorry, and Phoebus has lost to Loudoun Valley. Norcup's not what they've been. I don't think they'll be there. The top 4 seeds will get a bye in Region 3A, by the way. Hopewell could be in the mix there. John Marshall, George Wythe. Spotswood's been very good. They just extended their Valley District winning streak to like 93 games. What's your pulse of Class 3? Is it Northside bringing back 5 starters from last year despite one of them being injured?
I think
they're the team that experience is going to get through?
Northside has separated a little bit from the pack.
But do you feel confident about them beating John Marshall again? They beat him last year with Isaiah Todd on their side, also a George Wythe team that's very athletic, will play you 94 feet, or even a Hopewell who's big as well. Can they get through that Richmond gauntlet if they have to go through? Although you only have to beat a Richmond team once. With the new state format, it's now A versus B, and then C versus D. So in my eyes, that format favors a Northside or a Spotswood because they don't have to beat multiple Richmond or Tidewater teams. They just have to beat them once in the final game.
And I can give them that. I can give them that once. I don't want it to be Marshall. I want to have to play Marshall early.
Well, but the thing is, Marshall may not get there because they may get knocked off by a Phoebus or a George Wythe or a Hopewell on their way to trying to get to that game.
They're trying to get that one. I like Northside right now, but I don't want to see Wythe.
Because since we've gone to the 6 divisions, which was back in, was it 13-14 or 14-15, whatever it was?
13-14. This is the
fifth year.
Fifth year?
Fifth year.
Third year. Okay.
Whatever year it was. 5th year. In all those years, we've had either a Tidewater or a Richmond team win the whole thing in Class 3. This is, to me, the first year that trend gets broken just because of the way the bracket is. It gets Northside or Spotswood some rest, whoever comes out of that side, be it C or D, and I would think that those are the 2 favorites in that final game. In my eyes, I think it's what helps.
Yeah, I wish they would have predetermined matchups, A, B, C, D.
They should cross it. They should.
Let's get somebody to rank the teams.
I don't mind A and B and C and D playing in the first round, but don't have them play again in the second round because then it makes your region championship game meaningless if you see them again in the state semis.
Right.
You just hold your cards if you don't see, if you see the same team.
Yeah, you got to set up where the 2 best teams meet. Hopefully, the championship game.
As we finish the wrap here on the 2 and 1 for boys, and we'll do some girls talking in the future on our video show, and then we'll get the Super Bowl out here today. Class 2. Robert E. Lee, by the way, a sudden coaching change. As Jarrett Hatcher is not returning to the sidelines for Lee, Paul Hatcher's son, due to some off-the-court issues. Terrell Mickens has stepped in there. They're the defending champ in 2, but Gate City is 1. Radford is very, very good. Dan River, Martinsville, Graham. There's depth in Class 2. Give me a pick. There's some big names, too, as Jarvis Vaughn of Lee is going to ODU. Mac McClung, the dunk sensation of Gate City, is going to Georgetown. There's some stud names in that bracket. Darren Martin, a quietly good name, over 1,000 points in his career at Graham. I like Radford, even though I have him 2 at the moment. I just feel like Rick Cormany, that point guard, Quentin Morton Robertson, Miles Jones, the younger brother of Nate Jones, son of Mike Jones, Radford University head coach. Those guys have been there before. I feel like they're going to find a way, even though Gate City is one and they have that scoring explosiveness with McClung and Irvin.
Well, just to go different, I'll go Gate City.
Okay, you think it's Gate City's time.
But Radford is, you can't say a surprise team. They're undefeated. Maybe in most times they should be number 1, but I like Gate City.
That's the great matchup, should we get it, of the Radford defense against the Gate City's high-flying offense, and seeing how that they would mesh if they were to meet. And guess what? They would not meet in the final game. They would meet in the state semi. You don't like it over here.
I really hate that.
Robert and Lisa, that's fine with us. We'll see whichever you guys kill each other. We'll see there if we get there. Now, at least got to get there. They got to deal with some teams that could be like a Greensville, could be a sneaky team. We'll see. And then in Class 1, you talk about up for grabs. It is up for grabs. I think Eastside is the pick because of their size inside with Luke Lawson and those guys. They have a couple guys 6'5" and above in Class 1, which is a big deal. But that Northern Neck District with Northumberland and Lancaster and Rappahannock and Essex, those teams are really beating up on each other. Surrey and Franklin are coming up, rising up in the Tri-Rivers. We had on James Pope earlier today. There could be some surprises in Class 1. But with Radford moving up from 1 to 2, I think the storyline is who comes out of 1. Well, one of those teams has been juggling in there. Eastside and Lancaster have kind of been battling, as has George Wythe out of Wytheville. One of those teams that had the experience, I think one of those 3 is going to come out. Or do you like somebody else?
Nah, I will take the flavor of Eastside.
Okay. So if I gave you to go with the college basketball thing we saw on TV today, Villanova, UVA, Purdue, you can actually answer both these questions.
I'll take the field.
Or the field. You took the field. If I give you for 1, Eastside, Lancaster, George Wythe, or the field, who are you taking?
Ooh.
That's a tougher question.
That's a tougher question.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it was
I would go
Eastside.
with one of those 3 and go with Eastside.
Yeah.
Over the field.
I could. I want that Surrey team.
Honeacre could be right there in the mix.
Yeah.
And Surrey. Yeah. So you going with the field or you going with one of those 3? Go with the field.
My buddy Mike.
Go with the field. Mike says go with the field. Go with the field.
No, I can hear Mike right now. Go ahead. You don't know what he's talking about anyways. Go ahead and pick against us.
Go with the field.
I'm staying with Eastside.
All right. Super Bowl 52 comes your way on Sunday. Eagles, Pats. Neither one of us is crazy about this game. I really can't get excited if either one of them wins.
I just want a good game now. I want to have good food.
Good food, good times, party it out. Let's give a quick thumbnail on the game, though. My feeling is the Patriots are due for maybe not necessarily a blowout, but a more comfortable win. And of their Super Bowls, and they've played in now, 7 of them? This will be the 8th. Really, the only one that was kind of comfortable in the last seconds for them was when they beat the Eagles in Super Bowl 39. Did you think about it? Field goal at the end to beat the Panthers and the Rams. Rams might have gone to OT if the Pats had listened to John Madden instead of Charlie Weiss and Belichick deciding to go down the field. They had to come from behind to beat the Falcons and the Seahawks at the very end with that interception saved it at the end against the Seahawks. They lost to the Giants in closing seconds. Really, the only one that was sort of semi-comfortable was the Eagles. And I just feel like they're kind of due for a somewhat comfortable catch your breath.
Yeah, but...
Can Nick Foles have 2 great games in a row, and does he need to have 2 great games in a row?
I'm not so sure I'll put the pressure on Foles, but that Philly defense...
It's good up front with Fletcher Cox and those guys.
They're not going to make Brady panic. Brady just doesn't panic. But they're going to be in his right, and they're going to be on his left a lot. I think Philly's defense has a lot to say about the outcome of this game. I'm going New England, but I think Philly's defense. Foles, he's been a great story. If Carson Wentz is the quarterback, he gets hurt, he steps out. Here comes Foles. People are like, oh, God, here goes our season. This guy used to be okay, but nothing great. And he ends up really playing great football.
Marvelous in the NFC title game. But I think a lot of that was Minnesota just imploding at the wrong time.
Minnesota picked a heck of a time for the worst game.
They have the power running game with the Jai and Blunt. They can get them there, and then you have Chris Long like a Blunt who was on the Patriots. So there's some familiarity with what the Pats do scheme-wise and preparation-wise. And to me, I think that the corners of Philly are a little suspect. And you hit on something on the radio show, too, is they have some good receivers the Eagles do and some targets, Alshon Jeffrey and a couple guys here and there. But they don't have a big play, explosive.
Yeah, don't breakaway guy.
They don't have explosiveness. They're great in the trenches. They're better in the O-line, D-line than the Pats. but they don't have the explosiveness, and I don't know if their corners can match up. And I think New England will come out with the game plan of Dink and Duncan early, hit him underneath, and then that'll open up the big play for Gronk. And Gronkowski, to me, is the MVP as the Pats win 24-13. I'll be surprised if it is tight, and I'll be even more surprised if the Eagles win. I think they have some good matchups with them, but I just feel like New England's preparation, being here before. Remember now, for a lot of these Philly guys, besides Blunt and Long, this is their first time on this stage.
Yes.
And I think that's going to bode well for the Pats, having been in this game last year, being down against the Jaguars, being down against the Falcons. I don't think they'll be fazed by it. And they're also due for a good start because they also got off to bad starts against not just the Jags in the AFC title game and the Falcons last year Super Bowl, but also the Titans. They were down early in that game in the AFC Divisional. So I think they're due for a good start, and the Eagles not so much.
Yeah, I would think. How did Philadelphia handle the 2 weeks of hoopla that you have for Super Bowl, all the media stuff?
First time coach in this game, second year coach in Doug Peterson?
Doug Peterson, yep, former NFL player.
Yeah.
Not sure he's been to Super Bowls a player or not. He played for Green Bay, a few other teams.
I think he was a backup to Favre.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
And I'm a guy that always says having been there has a lot to do.
Yes.
I think the younger you are, high school, college, yes.
Well, I think it matters even more when you're playing a guy in Tom Brady who's now in his 8th and Bill Belichick who's now in his 8th. And this seems like the last rodeo with the staff kind of from the coaching staff perspective. I don't know about Brady if he's going to come back or not, but I would be surprised at Belichick because you got to replace not just the DC and the OC who are leaving for head coaching jobs in McDaniels and, oh goodness, I can't think of the AC date, Matt Patricia. But then you also have Skarnecki, who's been that line coach and the glue guy for them. I feel like this is Belichick's last rodeo there to do.
I originally thought he may step aside, but there's no openings. Now does he go?
But he might take a year off.
Yeah, he might take a year off.
Yeah.
I don't see him leaving.
You got to replace 4 coaches. That's
I don't see him leaving. They'll do some in-house, and Brady ain't going nowhere. Brady's got 2 more years in him. Brady is not going anywhere.
But Belichick was not happy about Garoppolo being dealt. He was not happy about that. Okay,
well, look what he's done with San Francisco. He was the next guy.
He was the next guy. And Belichick is smart enough to know that these quarterbacks have a quick boom down. That's why Peyton Manning fell down late, and they were able to win in spite of it because of the defense. That's why Warner didn't want to come back for it last year because they know when you get to that certain age and physically you can't hold up, all it takes is 1 or 2 bad hits and Brady can be done.
Hey, how about pod question?
Pod question.
Brady gets hurt against Philly. Who comes in for New England? Who's the backup quarterback?
Ooh.
You know? Do you know?
Do I know?
Yeah, who's the backup?
I'm hoping you don't because I have no idea. I have my flip. Who is it?
Hoyer.
Hoyer?
Yeah.
Brian Hoyer?
Not Brian Hoyer. Yeah, Brian Hoyer.
Yeah, okay.
Used to be Cleveland. That's the
I thought you said about Bobby Hoying. Like he played for the Eagles back in the day.
Back in the day, Bobby.
Yeah, Bobby Hoying. No, different.
So
And the Raiders.
There's your backup quarterback.
Raiders.
Okay. Raiders will be in the Super Bowl next year. Bank it. Gruden's back.
Ooh, the Vegas Raiders. That pick did not work out for me. What was our picks? I had the Raiders and the Packers. How'd that work out? Neither one made the playoffs.
I had Raiders and
Falcons, was it? Somebody?
No. I think I had Raiders and Philly.
You didn't have Philly. I'd go back in the archives and look it up.
Or did I want a Philly cheesesteak?
You're hungry, I can tell that. When we're almost out of time because the thing's blinking.
Speaking of food, we got to run.
We got to run every Saturday, 10 a.m. to noon, 94.1 ESPN Radio. I want to thank publicly all the sponsors and supporters that brought us food and donated for the VirginiaPreps.com Basketball Classic 10th Annual at Henrico and Green Run. That goes out to shout-outs. I'm going to give them to them. Zaxby's, Mission Barbecue, Buffalo Wild Wings, Outback Steakhouse. Fantastic job.
Go to those sponsors.
And you can get a shout out if you want to be involved in this video show. We'll come do it at your establishment, and you can be special just like them.
We'll take that show to your establishment also.
Yep. Just hit us
up. If you feed us and sponsor us, we'll take care of you.
Enjoy Super Bowl Sunday. We'll talk to you later in February.